The Hangzhou Spark have made some serious additions to their roster for 2022, after being clearly not happy with their 2021 season. Can they win a championship with this roster? Or will they crash and fumble again? I'll break that down today. I'll begin with the DPS line. We have Shy and Architect returning and new promotions of the Bilibili DPS line, Alfie and Pineapple. All of these players are individually talented, with Architect honestly being the worst individual member. Shy is obviously insane, having many hard carry performances on Hangzhou last year on pretty much all hitskins. Alfie is an absolute nut in Chinese contenders, being absolutely dominant on the Echo and Tracer. The amount of first picks he gets is crazy. Pineapple is easily the second best hitskin in contenders, only behind Apparitor, and has a very good Sombo as well, and is generally at the top of contenders. Architect is the odd man out. He has been clearly outclassed on all his heroes by these three. He could be a specialist in Mare and Reaper, but I don't see him being a starter at least, but he does give the DPS line extra depth. The issue with this DPS line is that, well, they overlap heavily. Alfie and Architect have almost the exact same hero pool, as does Pineapple and Shy. However, I think this definitely helps them on the outlook. The players cover nearly every DPS between them, and should have no problem picking up new heroes that come along. I would give this DPS line a 9 out of 10. Architect is somewhat of an unknown, and Pineapple will likely ride the bench as well, but a starting lineup of Alfie and Shy is absolutely cracked. And the amount of backups and cracked players gives this team the flexibility needed to stay on top of whatever comes in Overwatch 2. Next, the tanks. The Spark has retained their tank line of zhou, Lige and Banar from last year. First of all, it seems weird that they have 3 tanks for a role with 1 slot. I was sure they would release Banar, but at least they still have Lige. Overall, this is a very solid tank line. Zhou is still a great main tank, and should have no problem adapting to whatever Blizzard throws at him. Lige is a star for Team Chaser. It's a massive head-scratcher that they didn't play him over Banar more, who did not impress that much. Overall, this is still a very solid tank line that should perform quite well, unless they force Banar again, which considering their coaching staff is very likely. I give the tank line an 8 out of 10. Finally, the support line. They have picked up Bilibili Gaming Flex support Irony, and Team CC Flex support Saperic. Irony is a great player. I don't think he's stand out or anything, but was very solid on Bilibili Gaming. His Ana especially was fantastic. He was probably the best flex support in Chinese contenders. But the real eye grabber here is Hoiqian. For those who don't know, Hoiqian was part of the single most dominant contenders team last year, Team CC, alongside Ganine, Lige, Dia and Fui. He is an incredible talent, who should have been in the league a lot earlier. While he hasn't been as dominant as back then, at his peak he rivaled the top main supports in contenders, even possibly being better than, say, Charong and Chio. He's crazy. There is a bit of an issue here, though. Spark have less supports than tanks. Ironic how they are bloated on DPS and tanks, but skimped out on supports when having 2 great flex supports is said to be very important. It's a shame. But these are 2 cracked players, and I am very excited to see Saperic in the league especially. I'll give these guys a 6/10, very similar issues to Atlanta Rain. Now, for the coaching. They have the infamous Changgun as head coach, with Myro and Xiao Gang as assistant coaches. Xiao Gang is a bit more unknown. He is interesting, mainly because, well, he was a caster before. I guess Hangzhou saw his casting analysis and thought he would be a great member of the coaching staff. He was also a player in 2016 and for one tournament in 2018. Definitely a pickup I am not excited for. He was good at the game in 2016, but hasn't played or coached the game since then pretty much, at least not competitively, and going from commentator to assistant coach is a really weird shift. In theory it makes sense, as you have to have good understanding of the game and meters to be a commentator, but still, it is totally different environments. Miro is an interesting one, though. He is obviously a legend in the pro scene, being the quote-unquote godfather of main tanks as he transformed the way we played Winston, which defined the meta for dive for a long time. He fell off in Season 1, though, and has recently been a coach for Team Diamond. I would say I like this less than the, say, Toby signing, though Miro is only an assistant coach. Miro has not played competitively in years, and has not shown an especially promising read of the meta and game as many other coaches have. However, he is still a legend, and I think he deserves a chance. Finally, the infamous Chang-Gun, who has more grand finals appearances than Moon and is still one of the most hated coaches in the league. Let's be frank here. He has extremely poor readings of the meta at times. I think he is overhated, but it is fairly undeniable that Seoul made many missteps in reading the meta at times, which led to failings despite their insanely talented rosters in 2020 and 2021. The most recent example is forcing Profit on Mare despite it not being part of his hero pool at all, which made them dip out of the Countdown Cup early. I really dislike the coaching moves here. Xiao Gang is a very questionable pickup, Miro is pretty unproven and Chang-Gun is an inconsistent mess. I give the coaching staff a 3 or 4 out of 10. Overall team rating is a 7 out of 10. I think there will be enough talent on the DPS front to carry them fairly far while people are still figuring out the game, and their roster is very flexible outside of their supports. Though I don't trust their coaching much at all, and they will struggle after several meta shifts and the game becoming more strategic. They are a solid mid-tier team, though I would probably put them a bit below Atlanta and a lot below Seoul. They absolutely have potential, and I can see them doing much better than last season. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe for more. I am trying to hit 100 subs before Season 5, so any subscription helps greatly. Thanks.